Good evening and welcome to A Moment with Mo. I wanted to jump on today and talk to you really quick about total forgiveness. I recently spent some time with IREAD Book Club. That was a book that they were reading, and I had the opportunity to speak briefly with them about total forgiveness. And firstly, when we talk about total forgiveness, we have to know what is total forgiveness. It is when you know someone has wronged you, and at the same time being in a place, as in Luke 23 and 24, in a moment where you can go to God as a friend on behalf of another friend from the depths of your heart and say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Forgive them because they don't know what they're doing to me. Now, years ago, I was young, way much younger, 30-something years ago, and at this particular time I was pregnant, and there was an incident that occurred where my older brother had taken my car without me knowing it. To me, I consider that as, that he had stolen the car. Now, even though my father had bought him a car, he liked the car that I had. I was so angry with him that I confronted him and I threatened him that I would send him to jail for stealing from me. Soon after that, he went to jail, and after hearing myself recite over and over what he had done to me and how I felt, I was able to let it go and visit him in jail with my newborn daughter. I offered him a new start to come in to live with me and to start fresh in a new city and time. Now, I have to admit to you that it took some time. It took me getting over my own self-pity to be able to totally forgive him. But I was able to do it. Now imagine for a moment what it would be like if you finally let go of all of that anger that you have towards your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your relatives. Imagine what it would feel like to run into them and not feel your blood pressure rise, or feel like you want to go run and hide or avoid the conversation. What would it feel like to have that sibling who abused you in the past sitting right in front of you, and you being able to express compassion and forgiveness towards them? Well, today I came on the line to tell you that it's possible. I've done it in my own life, and there are many others who have endured unbelievable circumstances. Now, in the book Total Forgiveness, we find in chapter 2 that Joseph and his brothers are in a similar situation. Joseph is the favorite son of his father and the chosen one by God. Joseph goes on a trip with his brothers at his father's request and finds himself in a situation. He finds himself being betrayed by his very own brothers and sold as a slave. Joseph finds his way out of this situation and lands a job in the home of Potiphar, only to have Potiphar's wife lust after him and lie on him. This caused him to then be thrown in prison. Joseph later was brought out of the prison to interpret a dream for the Pharaoh and became the next in charge. Now, while he was leading during the time of a famine, about 22 years later, his brothers presented to him looking for food in Egypt. They didn't recognize Joseph, but Joseph recognized them. Now, instead of punishing them, Joseph wept. He embraced them, he fed them, and he pledged to care for them for life. Joseph demonstrated total forgiveness. Joseph had many offenders. He had much to be bitter about, much to be upset about, and much to forgive. His brothers sold him into slavery. Potiphar's wife lied on him. Potiphar threw him in the prison over a lie. The guards punished him. God let it all happen. Himself, being upset with himself for not walking in love and exciting his brother's jealousy while promoting himself, because Joseph was not shy about sharing with them what God has showed him about his future. How many of you know on today that sometimes what God shows you is just for you? But in Joseph's process, he allowed 7 things to flourish in his heart. And he was able to forgive. He was able to display total forgiveness. When we do these 7 things, then we have become love. In Corinthians 13:5, it says, love keeps no records of wrongs. Love is not self-seeking. Can you see Joseph in the prison full of self-pity, self-righteousness, knowing and believing that he had done no wrong to his brother, to Potiphar's wife, to Potiphar, or to the Lord? But yet he was sold as a slave, he was lied on, and he was thrown in prison. Now, these twin sins that we see in this scenario, in most cases where we are harboring unforgiveness, is self-pity and self-righteousness. These twin sins overtake us as we sit in unforgiveness. When these two are eclipsed or overturned, then we know that we have reached a place of total forgiveness. And we then keep no record of wrongs. Many times we remember in our pain, but he did this to me. That is a sure sign, a form of self-pity. And on the other hand, self-righteousness is continuous reminder that, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. We keep replaying that in our head. It is a form of self-righteousness. How do we know that we have total forgiveness? We must embrace the 7 things that Joseph allowed to flourish in his heart. So let's review these quickly because my time is running short. Number 1, don't let anybody know what someone said or did to you. Stop telling everybody what happened, what they did. Oh, did you know that he ran over my toe? Number 2, do not allow anyone to be afraid or intimidated by you. Now, a lot of times when people know that you're upset with them, they can be intimidated by you. Oh, I don't really want to go and talk to her right now. You should not allow anyone to be in that place about being in your presence. Number 3, we will want them to forgive themselves and not feel guilty. I had a situation years ago where I was able to tell the person that I had forgiven them because they felt some kind of way about the situation. But I was able to tell them, hey, look, I have forgiven you. Now, you need to ask God to forgive you and then forgive yourself. You will want them to not feel guilty, but you will have a desire for them to go on and forgive themselves because you have displayed total forgiveness. Number 4, you will allow them to save face. And what I mean by this is save face is when you're in a moment with this person who hurt you and they say something that you can relate to what they did to you, you don't have a comeback. You don't bring it up and throw it in their face, but you let it go. You allow them to save face in that moment, even though what they said triggered something for you. Number 5, you will protect them from their greatest fear. You will help protect that person from the greatest fear, which could be exposure. But you will cover for them. As the Bible tells us, that love covers a multitude of sins. Number 6, it is a lifelong commitment. When you have experienced total forgiveness, it is not for 6 months. It's not for the weekend. It's not for that moment when they're in your face, but it is a lifelong forgiveness. When you see them, rage doesn't overtake you. For example, instead of punishing his brothers, after Joseph's father died, he embraced them even more. And he pledged allegiance to them that I am going to feed you and your children until you die. Total forgiveness. And number 7, you will pray for them to be blessed. You can pray for a person to be blessed, but do you have all the 7 examples of Joseph in place, in right position in your heart to present them to God as a friend on behalf of a friend, to petition for them to be blessed? So I want to leave you with this final thought on this evening. The person who gains the most from forgiveness is the person who does the forgiving. When we are mad and upset and we harbor unforgiveness in our hearts, we are unable, our hearing is hindered from being able to hear the heart of God for that person. We must turn people over to God. I have always said that God can get you better than I can. Knowing if he could walk with Joseph through if God could walk with Joseph through slavery, through being falsely accused and imprisonment, surely he can walk with us and change our hearts to allow us to walk into total forgiveness. So I thank you on today for allowing me the opportunity to share with you total forgiveness, and I pray that you're blessed.